This is Eugene Chan, and welcome to Straight Talk. With us tonight is Professor Frederick Mashi Hung. Professor Ma was previously the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, then Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development in the 2000s. He has extensive experience in the banking and financial sector. More recently, he was the chairman of the MTR Corporation Limited, Council Chairman of Education University, and is currently member of International Advisory Council of China Investment Corporation. Welcome, Fred.
Thank you, Eugene.
So the chief executive nomination was ended, and we only received one nomination, Mr. John Lee. And Mr. Lee has secured 786 nominations from the election committee. This must be quite a high number in such a short time. I've done some homework, seeing that actually he's ranked third highest in terms of number of nominations he received. He's third, actually, following Mr. Tong of 95.3% in 2002, and Mr. Donald Tsang, 84.3% in 2005. So if Mr. Lee can secure over 750 votes on the 8th of May, he will be our new chief executive.
Yes.
So tonight we want to have a discussion on whether the new chief executive will bring us a better Hong Kong. And Fred, I mean, you've been with the Hong Kong SAR government, say, for 6 years, and like having over 30 years experience in the banking and financial sector. So in your view, in the last 25 years, how has Hong Kong fared? I mean, have we done better or have we fallen back on in the last 25 years?
Well, put it this way, in the last 25 years, we have definitely advanced as an international financial center. But there are many areas where we could have improved. For example, housing. When Mr. Tong was the chief executive, he promoted the 85,000 units per year concept, which was very good. Unfortunately, due to the 1997 financial crisis and other issues, the plan did not materialize. We have not really, other than the financial services sector ourselves, which is doing very well, other sectors have not done that well. So in a way, the economy is a bit, I should say, lopsided with financial services and then the hospitality industry doing very well. But we don't really have an industrial base. And also in terms of innovation, technology, I think we fall behind.
Right. So, Fred, you just mentioned that housing, that's something that is much talked about in the community. So, in terms of a better Hong Kong, I mean, if different people will look at different factors to say whether there's a better Hong Kong, I think the most common ones on people's wish list are such as happiness, whether they feel secure and stable, whether we have a good healthcare system, and even whether we have a vibrant economy. From those four areas, what is your view on those four areas in particular?
Well, I think you and I would definitely agree that we would like our children and our grandchildren to live in a safe city. We want them to live in a city with a vibrant economy, where upward mobility is available. We want them to have hope that if they work hard, they will be able to afford buying a house, a shelter for themselves. When they grow old, they would have a pension system, they would have a good healthcare system. So those, I think, are the basic requirement to make any citizen of any city happy. And I certainly would hope that, we would head towards that sort of direction.
Right, Fred, we are at a very important juncture. Right at 25 years is just starting on the 1st of July, which is like 2 months away. In your opinion, what does the new government has to do to ensure, as you just said, people want to be happy, they want to be secure, they want to have upward mobility, they can afford housing, they can have healthcare. What do they have to do? Or in other words, do you have good hope that our new chief executive and his government will bring us a better Hong Kong?
My answer to your question, Eugene, is yes, provided that he can get the right people into the right places in the government.
Right.
Because it is important that we have people who are committed to the government, who don't treat their government position as jobs, but a mission. And they really dedicated their time to make Hong Kong a better place.
Right.
That, I think, is the key. On top of it, Mr. John Lee needs a team spirit among his members. You know, you cannot fight the battle by yourself. You have to fight the battle with a team, you know. And this is something I think very important for the next 5 years, and for that matter, next 25 years for Hong Kong.
That's something that he said when he announced his candidacy. He said, "It's us."
Yes.
We and us, not just I. He mentioned it very categorically.
I like that.
Yeah. Right. Before we go into that in the second part of the show, I want to ask you about some of the challenges. I mean, you've been writing, you've been making some very sensible comments to the community. Recently, you were saying that there are 4 main areas you think the new government must concentrate, namely housing, the elderly population, the economic transition, and even executive power. Can you elaborate more to the viewers on those 4 areas that you have written?
Well, first of all, housing issues has been a long-term issues for Hong Kong, and the wealth gap has widened as partly as a result of that, and our young people are a bit frustrated that in spite of how hard they work, they can't afford to buy an apartment in the city. It's so expensive, right? So, government must do something to address the public housing as well as the private housing supply to address the problem.
Right. I just want to just barge in here. I mean, you being a financial person, you know very well if they have excessive control of the property, if the property price goes down, the effect has been catastrophic. We have seen it in 1997 to 2003. So can we afford that? Or how can we fine-tune? Is it possible?
Well, it's a balancing act on the part of government to make sure that, people who cannot afford private housing must be housed properly in public housing. I really don't like to see some of the living condition of people, who work very hard and yet, cannot afford decent housing. Public housing is important. For the private housing, you're absolutely right, Eugene. If we push the prices of private housing down, like what we had seen in, after 1997, the effect could be very, very damaging to the economy too. So government must handle it, carefully.
Right.
Not allowing prices to really shoot up, and yet not allowing the prices to go down too much either. So it's a balancing act.
Yep.
But housing,
elderly as well. Yep.
Well, for the elderly, I feel that there are a lot of things we should do to take care of our aging population, which is very much on the card right now. It's a fact that we have an aging population. I feel so sad when I see the old people die during the pandemic. And I think the retirement home, we have lots of things we can do. And we also have to take care of the old people, better, with better health care for them.
Right.
And then I think the third thing I mentioned in my article was the
economic transition.
Transformation. Basically, I feel that right now we have financial services, which is doing very well, and then we are doing very well with the hospitality industry. But, the financial services industry is very good. Nonetheless, it's basically high-value industry. And hospitality industry is relatively low-value industry. So we need something in the middle, I feel, like industry. My best example was Switzerland. Switzerland has 8 million people or so, very similar to Hong Kong. And yet, other than financial services, Switzerland has tourism and also industry. As you know, watch, pharmaceutical, IT, those are the things we could develop, I feel, industries.
Right.
And I think government, particularly the new administration, is heading towards that direction.
Right.
And the fourth thing I mentioned in the article you referred to was the execution power of the government, which I see room for improvement.
We will go for a break, and when we come back, we'll look at other challenges Hong Kong is facing.
Okay, thank you.
Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. We have Mr. Fred Ma with us tonight, and we have been talking about whether our new chief executive will bring us a better Hong Kong. So Fred, in the first part of the show, we have touched on the fact that what is meant by a better Hong Kong and some of the challenges. Two important areas we haven't touched on are the COVID control as well as opening our borders. So on the coming Thursday, as you know, the chief executive is likely going to announce further restriction in terms of our social distancing and all those restrictions on eating, etc., etc. Are you concerned there may be a rebound in cases, and are we prepared when that happens? Because it is a very painful 3 months we have. Everyone is suffering because of a common cause. Can we afford it?
To be honest, we have suffered for over 2 years now. And we very much would like to see COVID go away, right?
I'm sure.
And I think the citizens have done our part to, make sure that we do, the right things, like wearing masks, social distancing, doing the red tests and all that, I hope that, it wouldn't happen again. I mean, the fifth wave type of numbers will not be recurring.
Do you think it's the right time to do a compulsory universal testing that has been much talked about in the last couple of weeks?
I think at this point, it's okay, except that you have to handle it with great care. Because look at what happened to Shanghai. It is not easy to shut down an international city, like Hong Kong, to do the mandatory tests.
Right.
However, whatever we have to do to, cure the situation is very important. Because with this COVID dragging on, it's hurting our economy. So we have to do something. The government has to do something to make sure that we would reopen our border. We would reopen our international border so that life can be back to normal.
Right, Alan Seaman was here a couple of weeks ago, yes. your good friend, and he has actually said that we are very close in opening the border with mainland until the fifth wave suddenly arrived.
January.
So what happens now? I mean, you use a very good term in the first part of the show as a balancing act. How do we balance between opening to internationally, which a huge outcry is happening at the moment, we've got people leaving, and also opening up with our mainland?
Well, I know all the issues, but I obviously don't have all the answers, It will be up to our capable government officials to deal with all these issues with the mainland authorities, We are part of China, and yet, we cannot go to the mainland, which is a shame. And internationally, we have seen a lot of people, expats, leaving Hong Kong now, and some multinational companies are very unhappy about what is going on. So we have to do something. I really think that the new administration, particularly, will really grab the bull by the horn and do something, restore our normal life, restore our traveling as soon as possible.
Fred, you also mentioned about government. You say that we must have new government people with a vision, with a heart to serve Hong Kong. It's only 72 days from now to the 1st of July. It's a very narrow window. And if you look at the current government, we have 3 major secretaries, the Secretary for Administration, the Secretary of Justice, and the Financial Secretary, and 13 bureaucrats at the moment. If Mr. John Lee is following what Mrs. Carrie Lam has proposed to expand our government structure, there will be 15 bureaucrats. And I've quickly calculated, Mr. John Lee has to look for over 40 political appointees in such a short time. And logistically, is it possible? Because They have to give their notice. They have to make work and family arrangements. Is it possible?
Well, I think there are lots of people who are willing to serve, But as I said, must get the right people. Time-wise, it's tight, but I think it's doable.
You're right.
It's doable if you can find the right people. For example, take my own case. I used to have a Canadian passport.
Right.
I had to give it up in a matter of a week,
So it can be done?
It can be done. I gave it up in a week. I at that time, I was a Canadian citizen because I live in Canada.
Right.
But I gave it up to be a principal official. So with the help of, Central People's Government, with the willpower of those appointees, I think it can be done.
Right. You quoted Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, our past Singaporean Prime Minister, as you just said earlier. The art of government is to get the right people at the right place. And many people said Hong Kong don't have political talents. Do you agree?
Well, I think what is the definition of political talents, okay? We never had really a election system like Singapore. And we really don't have, formal training per se. Yes, in that regard, we are somewhat deficient. However, I think the most important thing is to have the heart.
Right.
If people with the right heart have treat their job as mission and not just a job, okay, and serve Hong Kong well, I think that's what we need,
But how attractive is it to join the government now? I mean, is the pay attractive? I mean, of course, people going with the mission, pay is not the only thing, but everybody have their financial commitments. Like Singapore, they pay very high salary to their political appointees, but Hong Kong, we're doing not bad at all. Is it attractive? With all this has happened and people get scolded, you can get sanctioned by the US government, for example. Would that stop people from going to the government?
I think the situation has improved. In the last 10 years, although I have left the government now for 14 years, but in the last 10 years, I observed that the LegCo, it's absolutely crazy to become a principal official and expect to function effectively. But now, with the reform of the LegCo, I think it's actually easier to attract talents, to serve in the government. So I personally think that it is possible. If you join the government for the pay, then you're not the right guy. You shouldn't think of it that way. For example, when I joined the government, I took a huge pay cut. Why? Because I really want to do something for Hong Kong. So that's the kind of people we would want to have in the next 25 years for Hong Kong.
So what you're saying is, with patriots administrating Hong Kong and with the national security law, the environment is going to be much better. You also mentioned in an article, I always read your articles, you said winning the hearts and minds of people is the foundation of effective government. So would you say this is what makes the government a good one?
Well, I think there are three things that a good government must do. First, it must paint a vision for the people so it inspires people's hope for the future. It must have good and effective execution power, to do a good job for the people. And third, it must communicate well with the people.
Right. So, Fred, we have talked about the challenges, whether Hong Kong will be better, people joining the government. So far, you are very positive.
Yes.
Which I'm sure the viewers are happy to know, because it has been very gloomy in Hong Kong for months. So let's look at more of an outlook. So with all those factors in place, that means whoever wanted to join the government with a heart, hopefully Mr. John Lee will get elected, that he's going to lead the team, is going to tackle all the challenges we have mentioned. However, this time we have even a bigger matter that had never happened. It's a geopolitical factor. I mean, we are actually on the chessboard. A couple of weeks ago, we had Grenville Cross here. We're talking about 2 non-permanent judges resigning. All those sanctions to Hong Kong is one after another. So do we have a good chance still?
I think we do. You're talking to a very positive person to begin with, because I have lived in Hong Kong, as a child, and I've seen Hong Kong overcoming so many issues in my 70 years of life here, okay? So I'm very positive because I've seen how we've done it, okay? And I think we can overcome all those challenges you mentioned. Yeah. But one thing I think is very important, though, is we must maintain ourselves as an international financial center, and also we built our image in overseas. Because I think over the last couple of years, our image has been, or reputation has been damaged. Whether it's because of media in the Western world or our own making, we have done a lot of damage to our reputation. Right. So we have to repair that. And that is, I think, the job of the new CE.
Right. Since you mentioned that we all know that Hong Kong is being a very important international financial center, but whether we can be reliant on that for the rest of Hong Kong, that's something that the new government has to do. One last question for you. You mentioned about a lot of people are leaving. I mean, a lot of our viewers are actually expatriates that live in Hong Kong. I do get the feedback when I'm on the street. I know some of them are leaving, and you mentioned it earlier. How can we entice them to come back to Hong Kong? I mean, Hong Kong hasn't changed that much, except with the traffic control. That makes a lot of stress on businesses and family. What will you say to them?
Well, if we can address some of the problem, that we discussed earlier, they will reckon that Hong Kong is the best city to live in the world. We have a serious, we have a safe city, we have a harmonious society, we have a low tax system, independent judiciary, and a lot of the issues we talk about, if they are resolved, it is indeed the best city to live in the world. Trust me, I've lived in 4 cities in the world, and Hong Kong is definitely by far the best.
Thank you. That's all the time we have, Fred, and thank you for coming to share with us your insights on how our new chief executive will bring a better Hong Kong. Stay healthy and have a good week.